What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Rossel. We have more Watcher of Realms here for you. The gear dungeons just got themselves a juicy little update. A stage 10 increase. Previously we had stage 6, so it was quite difficult. That is now the new stage 9, and we have a stage 10 on top of that. So I'm going to give you a rundown on Gear Dungeon 1 and Gear Dungeon 2, presumably after this, but you never know. We are going to come over here and turn off this power of dominance, and we are going to take a look at the team. Pretty standard, you know, this is a bit of a luxury comp. We even have Ajax here. He's not deployed, he's just going to be giving the team a damage boost. This is definitely not going to be one of those, you know, epics only, or how to get away with minimum gear. I definitely cater more towards the endiest of end game, because that's where I'm at, to be perfectly honest. And I just don't excel like a lot of other content creators do at putting out those minimum guides. So instead, if you have all of the stuff lying around and you need help with timings, or you don't have all the stuff but you want to live vicariously through a big account, I'm here for you. I've got you. So with the exception of Lasir. A lot of people hate Lasir for this for some reason. I quite like him, but I think it's because way back in GR1, I had to use him, and I got quite used to how to use him, and I'm an old curmudgeon. I'm not going to bother with Artemis. I'm not even going to skill him up. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's load in here. Alright, so first off, we are going to just let a little bit of charge build up. We are going to want to toss in Comet and Dolores right behind him. She's going to give him the invigoration buff. Then I tried to finagle this some other way. It's timing's a little bit tricky. So Elowen is also wearing Invig. One of them is wasted. It's not a big deal. She is going to end up covering this area as well. Comet here is the only real damage dealer down here, so giving the buff to Lasir doesn't really matter. And of course she needs to be tanky enough to withstand that hit. And then we toss in Hars. He will be tanking the next hit. He'll probably be taking the next couple here, because then we're going to toss in Lasir. And you guys know what Lasir is here for. He is here just to spam that ult as quick as possible. Toss in our elf to get some cost back. And then Brokir, who is tankier than Hars, is going to be dealing with those bolts from Volka. Now, timing for this can be tricky for people, so what I like to do is I like to wait until the mob is about here. That's when I trigger Lasir. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 seconds, Comet. And then once he starts his ult, Dolores goes. And then we'll just get the survivability tankiness going. And toss in our Volka. Valkyra. And as you can see, Comet, if he's built really well, doesn't really have any difficulty dealing with that bottom. And it's going to proceed like that the whole way through. Lastly, we place in Gwendolyn, who is going to be giving Valkyra a damage boost as well, thanks to Invig. Now, as quick as possible, we're going to pop Gwen to give some extra big shield to Valkyra, because we want her to use her ult as quickly as humanly possible, because her ult takes forever to come back around. Down here you'll notice I'm not using Lasir yet, because Comet also has a hell of a waiting time, and we need him to be able to overlap. So we're going to pop the tankiness stuff to make sure everyone stays alive, and then around 90 is when I like to use Lasir. Maybe 92. We throw him out there. Palmette's been about 4 seconds. Dolores. And top's taken care of. Bottom's taken care of. We'll just go ahead and toss that elf in there because we don't need Rogue here dying. And it's pretty much rinse and repeat from here. There's no cycling or anything. This dungeon is a lot easier than Gear Dungeon 2. The only thing that changes is when these waves spawn in. Speaking of, we need Valkyra to build up some charge here. So I'm going to wait until about 80, 85. I think I usually go like 81 or something. Because it takes Gwen's animation a while to actually plop that down. And we consume that for Valkyra and let her do her thing. And we just wait on these guys to come walk to their doom. Speed this up a little bit here. Go. And just like the timing in the beginning, we can wait until they get into Lysir's range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Palmette. Dolores. Then all the tankiness stuff. Then again, we are waiting on Valkyra. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Consume. And let her deal with the top. Once you have the stats, and that's really the problem here, is getting the stats. When you have the stats to actually pull this off, it's basically just a dance. You get the steps right, and the whole thing takes care of itself. So we'll go ahead and let these guys march in. Again, we have to wait for Comet to build up his charge. So in the meantime, we are going to do everything we can to make sure that they survive. Lysir. Palmette. Oh, give me a second. There we go. It's been a long day. I've left a lot of this stuff running, so it's natural that there are some issues. So let's go back and take care of this. Let's see. We have our bottom that could use a little tanky buff, whatever. We are waiting on Valkyra. Bottom's taken care of. Bottom is finished, so it's just Valk. Go ahead and give her the constants. Like I said, it's been a long day. The Gwen shield, you can see it's nice and fat. Then we go ahead and consume that and just let her take care of the top. And if everything doesn't go according to plan, we do have Cyrus and we can just move everybody around. But that looks like we should be fine. A little bit tighter than usual. This tends to happen when you're giving commentary, but there you go. A pretty perfect run. I don't think anyone died. Lost my train of thought there with the cam going down, but we're not going to save that. Get rid of that junk. And that's the run. So let's get into the gear, the builds. Cyrus isn't deployed, so none of that really matters, but this is just what he's got chilling. Max, no awakenings, Bastion Ring. Comet is the damage star of the show. He is wearing the best set on my account. He is wearing the Soulbound set that Semra Praetus uses. So Guild Boss 2, this is built for HP, this is built for tons of attack. In the gear dungeons, the defense is incredibly high, the magic resist is incredibly high, so you need attack. I would focus on triple attack on everything, and if you're noticing that, honestly, I've tried tossing in crit damage mains, it always ends up giving me lower damage, so I don't really know under what circumstances you would use a crit damage main. You want attack, you want to toss as much attack in there as you can, and just chop them down. You know, get as much crit damage as you can on the subs, but don't focus them to the detriment of the attack. That is the stat that just keeps on giving. Max skills, max awakening. He was my first legendary and my first awaken 5. He was also my first max skill. This dude carried me through the beginning, through the mid game, through a lot of the late game. I really relied on him, and at first I was scared that I wanted some validation, right? That I pulled a powerful legendary, that I had someone really strong, and I wasn't wasting a lot of resources on him. And he's only gotten better with age. He's incredibly strong. I'm really happy that I ended up starting with him. The Tear of Twilight maxed out for, again, even more attack. Elowen is in her GVG set, I believe. Plenty of attack, a little bit of HP, but and some healing effect, because honestly, I don't get a lot of great rolls on Invigoration. So we were really focusing on attack speed, and healing effect can be a sub for attack on healers, at least attack-based healers. So it works out, but I would really love it if Moonton, if you're listening, if you could give us some attack bonus mains, or even HP bonus mains. I've never seen them. For Ancients, I'm talking about specifically. Ancients are pretty much just attack speed, healing effect, and rage regen, and we really need some better options there. But anyway, this is the build she's rocking. Max skills, Awaken 3. You don't need these, but she's definitely worth the investment, and I've been fortunate enough to pull her a few times. Golden Scarab maxed out for the extra rage regen, for the extra attack for healing. Lasir. Lasir is in what I like to call my weird set, because this is where all of the attack and the rage regen are. There's no intentional matching. This is just crank rage regen and attack speed up as high as possible. It's not necessary for this stage. You can see his ultimate was ready way faster than I needed it. But there is content where some tunes, I need to crank out their ultimate as quickly as possible. So I use the weird set for this. You can see plenty of rage regen and attack speed, tons of attack speed with some rage regen. And I sort of refused, or I actually don't remember why this isn't a rage regen set. Or piece, probably not a lot of attack speed. I don't know. This might end up changing. I don't remember my thought process here, but that's all he does. He is not there for damage. And this level 3 ultimate anti-healing duration +5, that is required. None of the rest of this matters, but he needs that 15 seconds in order to do what he does. Because the mobs are so tanky, it takes even the Glorious Comet all of that time to burn them down. But the rest of his awakenings, they don't matter. Not for this, anyway. Or his skills. His awakenings also, I don't think, matter. Extra damage to targets with... yeah. So... yeah. None of that actually matters. You just need him with a level 3 ultimate. And the Nightmare Samsara, again, probably not necessary here. But if you're using him for, like, Gear Raid 1 or something, then, that you actually do need it. As much rage regen as possible. Dolores is in the Dolores set. It is just attack with as much HP as we could muster. Some rage regen. I've actually swapped this piece around because I've been using Dolores a lot less lately. There's a lot of stages that have come out where you kind of excuse me, you kind of can't get away with using her. You just don't have the room, or she's not as impactful as she used to be. So I've started to reappropriate some pieces, but this is what she is left with here, and she does the job just fine. She's Dolores. She is the epic legendary herself. So if I miss out on a few attack points by downgrading one of her pieces, it's not a big deal. And of course, she has max skills, she has max awakenings, and she has Golden Scarab. I don't have enough to max out this one, so she gets stuck with the plus 22. Hars is a tank. He is in tanky stuff. I didn't even optimize this set. As you can see, it's definitely not the best that it could have been. He just needs to not die, and he's actually pretty good at it. Especially when you trigger the ults, he gets a shield, he gets the ridiculous defense increase, and Broke here does as well. And that's kind of all you need. I do not have max skills on him. I was even surprised recently that I had any skill ups in him at all. Of course they do help, but they're not required. And I did just get this, his A1. It's to be perfectly honest, I don't know how required it is. I got this in the 1+1 video that you should check out, and I have not attempted it without an Awakened Hars. And the Bastion Ring, these should probably be maxed out because they give you the extra physical and magic damage reduction. 9 times 4, 36% reduction. Assuming it works that way, I'm not really sure. The math in this game is kind of weird, but more is more better. And Broke here is exactly the same way. This is a bit more of an optimized set because it's what I use, or at least partially what I use in GVG. So he has tons of HP, tons of defense, and I mean, he's a tank, that's really about it. Max skills, of course. I've not been fortunate enough to pull any Awakenings, sadly, but he also has the max Bastion Ring. Valkyra is the other star of the show. She needs to be about as cracked out as you can get without cutting into Comet's damage. And I made this set specifically for Gear Dungeon 1. You can see I'm not really concerned about HP at all, it just happened to be there. Again, tons of attack. Attack, attack, attack. As much attack speed as I could muster, as much crit damage as I could muster. We have one of the best swords on my account and one of the best breastplates. She is even some rage regen. You know, even more rage regen would be phenomenal because you saw how long it takes for her ult to come back around, and that's with Elowen on the field. So, yeah, some attack speed. I don't have a lot of great bangles. This is kind of the best non-Praetus option. So you could probably even get better than that. I don't know about the rest of them. But this is kind of a just barely, because we have max skills, we have A2, so the extra attack there, every little bit helps. Damage increase based on shield plus 50%. If you have the A3, it looks like this would make this so much easier and really lift the gear burden. But of course I do not. And the Eye of Sin. I tested the Frigid Flame and the Realm Tear, and both of them performed worse than the Eye of Sin. Based on the staggered way that she kills the enemies, it seems like she actually gets a bigger damage boost from the Eye of Sin than she does from either of these. And I'm totally fine with it. I actually maxed out this Eye of Sin for this stage specifically, and it worked. I was able to do it a lot more easily, or at all. So I'm not upset about that. Gwendolyn is a HP healer, so she's easy to build tanky. Tons of attack speed. We want as much shield as possible. Plenty of healing effect. Her rage regen doesn't matter. She gets her ult way faster than Valkyra does. She just needs to be there. I'm currently in the process of maxing her out. I did this specifically for this stage because you want as much shield as possible to give Valk as much damage as possible. And, excuse me, dry throat. And of course I maxed out this passive, which doesn't matter for this stage. No Awakenings. I did not go super hard on her event. And the Euphoric Orb to give Valk just a little bit more hopefully, damage. If it pushes her over the attack speed threshold, I'm not sure it does. Orb of Euphoria kind of feels a bit overrated. When it works great, but most of the time it probably doesn't do anything. And of course, we have Ajax. He is not deployed. He doesn't have anything on at all. He is, of course, max skill for GVG and Arena. I am eagerly awaiting more Awakenings here. If I pull any more Soul Stones, they might go into him for GVG, just to be perfectly honest. But I might also save them for Valderon, who would be a phenomenal Lord to pull. And and that's it. The BP is a bit deceptively low because Ajax isn't wearing anything, but Gear Dungeon 1 honestly isn't that hard. Like I said, once you get the stats, the actual process is pretty simple. Now, that might not necessarily be an intuitive process. It might not come to you naturally, but here I've provided it for you, so it should be fairly easy to replicate. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining us here. Let's go ahead and turn that Power of Dominance back on. I don't want to forget that in the future. So yeah, Gear Dungeon 1, a lot easier than Gear Dungeon 2. I will also have, like I mentioned, a Gear Dungeon 2 video coming out fairly shortly after this one. Please make sure to join the Celestials Discord. I spend plenty of time there, giving out strategy advice, giving out memes, just making fun of you, you know, the whole 9 yards here. Be sure to apply to join the guild. If you are a monster in GVG, we would love to either have you if we have room or keep you in consideration down the line. If you are not a GVG monster and you don't really have a lot of interest in it, we have plenty of other guilds for you to join. We have several content creators in the space, not just Blunt Gut, Stormy, and myself. But regardless, we would love to have you. Please be sure to do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe. That all really helps the channel, and I appreciate it very much. I appreciate all the interaction. Please reach out. I read every comment. I try to respond to every comment. I'm still definitely small enough of a YouTube channel to do it. The goal, of course, is to get so big that I forget all of you and step on the little people, but I need your help to get there. And that's not actually the goal. The goal is to speak words better. But, you know, a man can dream, right? So thank you very much for joining us here, and I will see you next time.